All right, guys, what's going on? It's Jack, and welcome back to another video. And I thought I'd do another one of these because it was really fun for me to do the first one. So I'm gonna do this one. This is going to be the Black Ops 2 weapons tier list. Now, in order to save time and at the same time abide by the rules, I am not going to be judging any weapons that I didn't use in this game. So some of the weapons may surprise you in terms of what I did use. Obviously, I used some weapons more than others. But some weapons I just stayed away from because it's not really my style. So I really can't really judge them off of that in terms of my personal opinion and my experience. So with that being said, so that way this video is not another 30 minutes, let's get into it. We're going to go from left to right, up and down, left to right, pretty much like reading. So snipers I obviously did not use, despite the fact that Black Ops 2 was very popular with snipers. But we're going to go on to the first weapon here. The AN-94, this is actually my personal favorite weapon, if not one of my personal favorite weapons in the game. Great assault rifle. It was good. I mean, the first two rounds of after you pull down the trigger went to your target faster. So some people even specifically like bursted this gun to get kills even faster. And some people actually put the select fire attachment on it so that way they can do that. But anyway, AN-94, the iron sights, in my opinion, were really good, really usable, at least for me. Some people may not agree, but very, very solid assault rifle. So for me personally, as far as the automatic assault rifles go, this, in my opinion, for me, is just the S tier. Personal favorite weapon in the game, just amazing. Next up, we have the B23R. I'm sorry, B23R. So really good burst fire weapon. I remember I've seen so many players do all sorts of crazy shit. The handguns in this game, the sidearms in this game were just really, really strong. And for a sidearm and a burst weapon, very, very solid. And I go back and forth on whether or not I should put this at S tier or at A tier. But it is a sidearm, and it's a really good secondary. I remember seeing even pros use this. So let's do it. Let's do it. The S tier for the B23R. Great gun. Next up, the Chicom. If you were good at burst, and the thing is you can burst this pretty quick, and it had a pretty damn time to kill if you could hit your bullets with it. Very good time to kill, actually. And it had range, too, because it was a burst fire weapon. So this bad boy actually had some range. The damage, I think, was more or less the same as an MP7, but it didn't quite have that same range. I mean, I'm sorry, this one had slightly more range because of the burst, if I'm not mistaken. So that's the give and take with that. But again, you could kill really fast with this gun if you could burst. If you could burst fast enough while staying on target. Great gun. Not quite legendary status, though, in the eyes of many players, including myself, but at the same time, a little underrated. So I'm not going to put it at B because I'd be doing the gun a disservice. I'd put it at A. Very solid weapon, especially in the right hands. Executioner, believe it or not, I actually had the Executioner. I used this gun quite a bit because I was inspired by Excalibur's. It never got to my... this never got in my number 1. I think there was one point in time where I got it to my number 5th most used weapon, if I'm not mistaken. Either that or I just went through a whole hell of a lot to get all the camos and shit unlocked for this gun. The Executioner, man. If you were really close, you can kill somebody in 1 or 2 bullets. Well, 2 bullets. But if you were like slightly far away, it just wouldn't happen. You'd have to Executioner, man. Some people wonder why in the hell this gun even exists or who it's for. I'm sure in hardcore it's fine, but and again, I don't think even most people at hardcore would choose this gun because again, there's only 6 rounds and all that, but it's kind of a troll gun, man. But you know, if somebody was slightly weak and if you were close or, you know, not too far away, one shot, bam, they're dead. But at the same time, all the other handguns are good in this. So Executioner, yeah, just not quite. Okay, the FAL. Holy shit. If you're able to burst with this gun, holy shit. It's an absolute melt machine. It is absolutely broken. And you also had the select fire attachment on it, which made it very good as well. But for people that could burst, man, this was a melt machine, man. A lot of Ooh, man, I'm sure people on PC were using the hell out of this weapon as well, even more so than console. But yeah, it's stupidly broken, which is why it has to go up here. It's stupid. You just got to put it up there. Well, let's see. I didn't use the TAC very much. The Cap 40, the fully automatic sidearm, pretty solid. The obviously the mags didn't last very long. They weren't very big because, again, this was fully automatic, but very solid and could melt people pretty quick. You can even use it as a primary, just like all the other sidearms in the game. And this was the full auto variation of it. And I have to say, pretty fucking solid, man. So I am going to put this, I'm going to put the cap at A. And you can also dual wield them, obviously. And you can't go wrong with the caps. Yeah, bust a cap, baby, bust a cap. Okay, I actually use the TSG pretty often. If you can aim with this gun, if you were able to hit your targets, you can take people out from quite a distance away, 1 or 2 shots, depending on your range as well. This was basically like the sniper shotgun or whatnot. So the iron sights were good, but I think a lot of people, for obvious reasons, were using the reflex sight on it, and rightfully so. Yeah, the TSG, very good, but not quite as legendary as the Remington. So, I kind of want to put it at S tier, man, because of what you're able to do if you can aim with the gun. Because it actually required skill to get it. So, yeah, fuck what's popular. Yeah, I'm gonna put the TSG at S tier. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. and at pretty much any range, if you were to get a headshot with this thing, you'd kill with it. Well, not at any range, but like I'm talking about like ridiculously long range for a shotgun. But again, you had to hit your shots. So, all right. Moving on to the next one. No. Oh, the M27. The M27 was basically like the ACR from Modern Warfare 2 in terms of like the fact that it just had no recoil whatsoever. So this was kind of the noob gun, but obviously to balance that out, what they did was they decreased its damage output. If this thing had any more damage per shot on it, it would be overpowered. It would be the gun that everybody would be using. But it didn't end up being that way. So the M27 was actually reasonably balanced. And the way you would use this thing would be if all you had to do was put on a suppressor on it, and grip wasn't obviously necessary. Use quick draw or extended mags or something like that. And basically you can pick people off at pretty much any ranges or whatnot. If there's a guy, and FMJ I think was pretty good for this gun as well, because of the fact that you could pick people off. You could run and gun with it, but at the same time, it was just overpowered by so many other weapons, both assault rifle and SMG alike. So it was kind of like that. I'm not a hunter. I'm sorry. I'm not a camper. I'm not a rusher type of play style. It was like this gun on carrier, amazing to use. Great gun. And you could put pretty much any attachment on it, and you would do fairly well with it. So, yeah, for those reasons, I have to say, for a weak gun, but what you can do with it with the freedom, I have to give this an A tier. Okay, moving on. Yes. Yeah, this guy's going to A tier. This was the main assault rifle for the pros or whatnot. So, we're not even fucking with it. There really doesn't need to be anything explained. It was a 4-round burst, and basically you could kill very fast with it if your shots hit on target. You didn't have to. It wasn't as strict as the FAL or the SMR, because it wasn't because it was a weapon that was a burst, and it was a 4-round burst, and you could burst pretty quick, so you could drop people very quick in that game. And the pros ended up using this. I even seen some pros use the AN-94, but eventually later on they went with this bad boy right here. Can't go wrong with it. Absolutely amazing legendary weapon. Moving on to the next one, MP7. MP7, in my opinion, gets an A tier. Like, if this was the Modern Warfare 3 version, it would be up here. But this guy obviously didn't have the range that the Modern Warfare 3 one had. Obviously, there was some recoil as well. This was basically a more balanced version of the Modern Warfare 3 MP7. Obviously, but within Black Ops 2 standards. So, I use this weapon quite a bit. It's absolutely incredible. Great gun. And you shouldn't go without it in Black Ops 2. Great with a suppressor, great without one. Very addictive to use. Its recoil pattern was perfect. It wasn't broken like like some of the other guns, but yeah, great gun. All right, moving on to the next one. Oh yes, this is the Big Daddy. This is the Big Dick submachine gun for for Black Ops 2, the MSMC. It's from both a competitive standpoint and a pub standpoint. This gun is just absolutely amazing. I think they even slightly nerfed it after launch, but still, it was still amazing after that. So yeah, the MSMC. Great gun. It did have a little bit of recoil on it, but once you got used to the gun, it was extremely solid. I don't think anybody can say anything really truly bad about the MSMC. The iron sights were good. Its range and its damage output was what set this one apart from the PDW. So, very great gun. All right, moving on to the next one. Oh yes, the MTAR. Good iron sights. Overall good recoil. You know, you can control it fairly well after some playtime with it. You could obviously add attachments. It was a very versatile type of weapon, but not quite legendary status, but still really solid. I think moving this down to B tier would be a disservice, because it was still very versatile and really good, and it was actually more powerful than the M27, obviously, but of course it had more recoil, so there was a balance there. But the damage output was pretty good. It was kind of a mid-tier type of assault rifle, but in the right hands, you could definitely own with it. But overall, pretty freaking solid, man. So the MTAR is going to go into A, in my opinion. Now, the Peacekeeper, the first DLC weapon for Black Ops 2. Actually, the first DLC weapon in Call of Duty, actually. Very solid. In my opinion, like with my experience with the game, it wasn't anything broken. The only thing was that it was a hybrid type of weapon. So you could move with this gun as if it was an SMG, but it was an assault rifle, if I'm not mistaken. So like if you were to put stock on this thing, it would be like all over the place. But I think it was either that or, yeah, I'm pretty sure that was it. It was either that or the vice versa, what I'm saying. Like, or you had the movement of an assault rifle, but at the same time it could kill as fast as an SMG or some shit. I don't know. But no, it's literally a hybrid of an assault rifle and an SMG, and it's actually very solid. And I have to give the weapon its props. I think the weapon is really good. It's not legendary status. It obviously wasn't used in competitive, and I don't know, but the fact that it's a hybrid type of weapon deserves an A. So I'll put it right here. There were a lot of different kind of ways and attachments that you can use with this gun. So yeah, I would definitely give that an A. Let's move on to the next one. The Remington. Remington was too fucking good, man. This belongs at A. It's pump action. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, it hit blanks sometimes, like you would hit your target, but that's got nothing to do with the weapon itself. That's just the I don't know if it's the net code or the inconsistencies every once in a while with the game, but for the most part with the Remington, you were within range with this thing, one burst, two at the most, your target would be down unless you're just way out of range or whatnot. But the Remington, yeah, this is the big dick daddy of Black Ops 2 in terms of shotguns. Okay, ooh, the Scar H. Absolutely love this weapon. Great damage output, but it did have recoil. A suppressor was good with this gun. The iron sights were extremely solid. For me, this is easily S tier. I'm sorry, not S tier, A tier. Very versatile for a weapon of that kind of damage output. The iron sights are so good. It's almost like a portable LMG, actually, to some degree, in terms of what it could do penetration-wise, and pretty damn versatile for a power weapon, like in the assault rifle category. This is the most powerful assault rifle in terms of damage output in the game, but they gave it a good amount of recoil. But again, just like everything else, with some time you get used to it. You put a suppressor on it, it's even better. But you can use it also without a suppressor, and if you're able to control that recoil, you could definitely melt people. So, great gun. Great gun. One of my personal favorites. Let's see. Moving on. Yes, the Skorpion S tier. Hands down. Skorpion is an S tier gun. It's the ultimate. If you had skill, like this could be used both in pubs and competitively, and it would absolutely shred. And if you're able to control its recoil, you can absolutely melt people with it. And with the right attachments, obviously, you know, quick draw, either extended mags or fast mags, and you were in business. And you could, if you could hit your shots with this gun, this is almost up there with the MSMC, except its range wasn't as good, obviously. If this had the range of the MSMC, it would be even higher for me. But they had to balance it out by giving it a little bit more recoil. But the rate of fire on this motherfucker was insane. So it would drop people really, really quick. Great gun. Great gun. Moving on to the next one, the PDW. At launch, the PDW was up here. Post-launch, I'm putting it at B. They way too much recoil and unpredictable recoil as well. And I think they even slightly nerfed its range, so that way the MSMC could have more range, which is what set it apart from this one. And this one here would have obviously the bullets, right? You'd have like what, 50 rounds, and I think 60 with extended mags, or 65. So that's what set it apart from the MSMC. But it would have been like if they didn't touch this at launch and they just left it the way it is, it would be like right up here with the MSMC, and in some ways better, because you could just, you know, you had all those bullets to play with. And with this guy, you had the damage output and the range. So that is where these two would go head and head. But when they nerfed this, it just wasn't as fun to use or as versatile. All it had was the fact that it had a large magazine, but everything else about the weapon was just a little too much. So would have been up here, but it's down here. So hate to do that, but it's, you know, that's my experience with the weapon. Let's see. Is there another one that the SMR. You couldn't burst, to my knowledge, I don't think you could burst this weapon quite as fast as you could the FAL. But you can still kill it in the same amount of bullets, but I think it had slightly more range. So the SMR is actually going to go up here. Not quite as good as the FAL. And of course the iron sights. I don't remember the iron sights being as good either. So the SMR is going to go up here. So yeah, not quite as good as the FAL, so it's going to be down here. Okay. The SWAT. You could use this automatic or non-automatic, but not as good as, I mean, it's a solid burst weapon, but not anywhere near as good as this one, even though it has more damage. Iron sights are okay, but again, just the delay between bursts obviously makes sense, but for the kind of pacing, it just didn't match as much. So I'm actually gonna put this at B. But in the right hands and in the right play style, you can certainly do damage. But why use this when you can use this? You know what I mean? So that's why it gets a couple tiers down, just not quite as good. So, you know, the M8 just too good. So, all right, let's move on. Aha, Type 25. Okay, so this was the fast firing assault rifle for this game, right? Very weak in damage output, but it fired pretty damn fast. So in some ways it could compete with some of the SMGs to a certain degree, but not quite. But if you could aim, and the recoil actually wasn't that bad at all, in my opinion, and the iron sights, to me personally, were actually really good. To a lot of people, they weren't. This, for me, was one of the funnest weapons to use. You know, if I felt like having the assault rifle type of range, but while having that rapid fire of an SMG, I would use this gun, and I actually used it pretty often. You know, I would say with fast mags on this guy, some quick draw and stock, and you're good to go. I saw a lot of people using sights on this, but in my opinion, the iron sights are pretty damn solid. But that's just my opinion. So Type 25, very, very solid. I'd put this at A tier. So, all right. And the last one that I am going to talk about in this one is the Vector. This is the submachine gun that is basically a laser, but weak. So it's basically the M27 of submachine guns in this game. So, does that mean you can't do damage with it? Absolutely not. You can still wreck with it. But I will say this. With a lot of these weapons, if skill-based matchmaking were to where it is today, a lot of these weapons wouldn't even be used, or they wouldn't even be talked about, and they'd probably, I mean, unrightfully, they would be ranked even lower. But as far as the Vector goes, very solid, but it was the noob-friendly type of gun. So this was, you know, you could use it. It's easy to use, but it's not going to do as much damage as any of the other submachine guns. But this gun was also underrated, especially if you used a suppressor on it. If you use a suppressor on this, it's not even going to do too much of a difference in terms of nerfing the gun of what it does, because it's already weak as it is. So, and the thing is, with the other submachine guns, I mean, some of them would get nerfed to the ground if you put a suppressor on them, in compared to what they could do without a suppressor. But with this gun, not as much of a difference. So if you wanted to stay stealthy, and if you like to flank people and shoot them from the side, shoot them in the back and all that kind of stuff, again, very versatile type of weapon. But still very weak. So I'm gonna put this at B. But yeah, those are the weapons that I pretty much used for the majority of the most part in Black Ops 2. And that's how I'm grading them. A lot of great weapons. It breaks my heart to put the Executioner in trash, because whenever, like, if you were to kill 2 or 3 people, you know, at obviously close range, within a short period of time before having to reload with this game, it's a very satisfying feeling. But you really couldn't do much work with this overall. I mean, if you wanted to unlock all the Executioner challenges or whatnot, it was a grind, and it was definitely a headache to get this gun done. It's like, why? So, but yeah, overall, a lot of solid guns with solid experiences. This one unfortunately got nerfed to the ground. This one, I mean, why use this when you can use this? And this one was just a little too weak, but still overall solid. But again, you could still use other weapons with a suppressor in the submachine gun category that have minimal recoil, like this guy here, and still have similar outputs but with more damage. So yeah, this is my tier list for the Black Ops 2 weapons that I used. I really hardly ever used one of these. I know sidearms were ridiculous, launchers, LMGs and stuff like that, but I just really didn't use them. I'm not a sniper. I know the snipers rate pretty good. I know this guy and this guy would probably be S tier, you know, between the ballista and the other one. So but yeah. Anyway, that's my take on this. Let me know down in the comment section what you think of the weapons in Black Ops 2, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.